What's going on, guys? It's Corey from XJW Nation, and today I'm going to be talking about the 5 biggest myths that I believed while I was in the organization. So let's get into it. Number one, only Jehovah's Witnesses can be saved. Now, most of you are going to be pretty familiar with that concept. You know that the general outlook is that if you're not baptized or if you're not a JW, your chances of being saved are practically zero. And I remember a friend of mine who was also in the organization at one time breaking it down to me like, "Hey, man, I don't think it works like that, man. I think you still, I don't, And I remember arguing with this dude up and down, like, no, man, like telling you if you ain't, if you don't get reinstated, and it ain't gonna work. You gonna lose your life. And looking back at that now, I kind of realize how ridiculous that is. But what it does when you're on the inside is it kind of creates this superior feeling that you have towards others. It does not matter what type of person it is. It could be one of the most mild tempered, well mannered, well to do people on the planet. You're not Jehovah's Witnesses, you are French toast. And, my aunt kind of validated this point. One day I was actually going to visit the friend I was just talking about who I had the debate with. This is when he was still in the organization. And, he was a little more loose in terms of some of the rules and whatnot. And I remember he would have other, colleagues over to play video games with us that were not baptized. And so I'm going over there. I'm getting dropped off, and my aunt's in the car. And another guy comes over to play the game, and he has like locks in his hair or whatnot. And so my aunt immediately is like, now mind you, she doesn't know anything about this dude. Okay, first time seeing him, but just based off of the locks, obviously he's not a Jehovah's Witness. So she's like, I'm telling you right now, you're gonna have to slow down on coming over here until these people get baptized. I'm like, what? Like, like how narrow minded is that, really? This guy, I mean, I'm not saying he was the most holiest person in the world, but I mean, he was a regular guy. Go to work, mind his business, not really in a lot of crazy stuff. He's just there to play the video games. We're not over there plotting on anything extreme. But this is generally the mindset of Jehovah's Witnesses. If you're not baptized, you're not going to get life. And then typically, you're just really not a good person. As much as they want to pretend that, they have love for all and they don't judge and whatnot, that's not true. If you are not baptized, you are definitely looked at as beneath Jehovah's Witnesses. Myth number two, Armageddon is right around the corner. Now, this one right here is going to be particularly, I don't know, I want to say maybe triggering to some people because there's been a recent conversation about how much this particular myth, if you will, has affected so many people on different levels throughout the years. And I can remember back when the book studies were in place. Drop a comment if you remember the book studies, not the weekly one where they have it at the end of the midweek meeting. I'm talking about actually going to another publisher's house within a small group of 10, maybe 15 people, and actually studying a particular book for an hour. I can remember that, and I remember like the conductor passing around a notebook and asking for I think like contact, maybe emergency contact information, or getting everyone to confirm their home address. It was something along those lines, but just seeing him do that puts you in the mindset like, oh man, like it really is getting close, man. They're trying to make sure they got, everybody's information. And this is probably going to be like the house that we're going to come to for shelter or something when all of this stuff unfolds. And, here I am. Here I am, practically 20 years later. So, and this is not, I laugh to make light of it, but in actuality, this really did, affect a lot of people on a very serious level. No doubt you know, or maybe even lived, as one of those people who, put some of your aspirations on hold to honor this idea of the Armageddon coming right away or very soon or right around the corner. And it's just not true. Number three, blood transfusions are displeasing to Jehovah. Um, no doubt you guys remember carrying the little blood cards within your wallet or your purses. And at one point in time, I actually looked forward to that. Like I thought it was cool. Like I wanted to have the one that went on the keychains and all of those things. And again, just looking back at that, guys, I mean, can you really imagine that? Like being in a life-threatening situation and someone speaking on your behalf and they say, "Hey, listen, we have the option to save loved one, but it will require a blood transfusion." They just look up like, nah, it's to Jehovah. Like, what? Like, it's unreal. And the people who have lost their lives due to blood transfusions or declining them, it's actually infuriating and it's actually sad that this type of thing is bought into. Number four, believing that the elders are always right or that they have some particular understanding or special ability that's any greater than a regular human, when in fact these cats are honestly just Joe Blows who just kind of work their way up through years of service or years of, I don't know, bootlicking, if you will. Um, to the point where I can remember this one particular elder telling me a story about Garrett Loesch and basically how this dude walks around Bethel and they refer to him as NFL or no football Loesch. Because he kind of spews out this propaganda that he thinks football is a violent sport and that witnesses really shouldn't be watching it. And when I first heard it, it actually had me thinking, like, man, like, is football kind of violent? I might have to cut out football. And I'm not a huge football fan, guys, but the point is, it's the mindset behind. It's the mindset behind what I was thinking. Like, just because he's an elder and just because he said it, and then this Garrett Loesch cat is saying it, it's got me second guessing it to the point where, like, dang, maybe I should, try to, maybe I should cut it out, or maybe, and that's actually not true. Like I said, these guys are no better than anybody else, and they can be blind just like the next person. Number five, the organization is a loving worldwide brotherhood. Now, let me say this to an extent. If you are to travel to another location and visit a Kingdom Hall or interact with Jehovah's Witnesses, they're generally friendly people. But the problem is that friendliness is only based upon certain stipulations. If you step outside of the JW boundaries, all of that love and all of that we're one big brotherhood, all of that stuff goes out the window, guys. I remember this dude, man. Actually really cool with the dude, but he was in another congregation. I would only see him when I would go visit some of my relatives who lived, like an hour away. And, I literally used to chat with this guy from the time I was, yay high to basically, almost an adult. So he knew me well. And I remember running into him years later in the McDonald's after I left the organization. And this guy kind of just looked, he knew it was me, but he just say a word, man. Just went right back on to ordering his food and going on about his business. And that's typically just how it works, guys. But when you're on the inside or when you're first coming in, you kind of hold to this belief like, man, this really must be the the one. Like, and what do they always quote? Like, by this all will know you are my disciples if you have love among yourselves. Like, yeah, okay, they have love among themselves, but again, this love is completely conditional, guys. So there we have it, guys. Those are some of the biggest myths that I actually believed. And in hindsight, I can't really believe I fell for them, although it's not totally like left field considering that I was a born in Jehovah's Witness, which I will talk about in greater detail on another video. But if any of those particular myths affected you on a personal level or you have stories about them, comment below because I want to hear about it. And in the meantime, do me a favor, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to check out my Patreon if you would like for an opportunity to have one-on-one discussions with me or even have input on future videos. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. Dodge the tower, claim your power, and I'll see you on the next one.